quickly just get questions. Hello, GM, good morning, Eat Vietnam, right? It's a pleasure to be here, right? Looking into, like just the opening speech earlier, Quinn was saying that this was really hard to pull off, and I actually do not know why we do this, right? Actually, I questioned her, maybe like just 2 years ago at DEF CON, actually, right? Why are you really doing this, right? This is something really difficult to pull off, especially in Asia, to make people believe that you should also spread awareness in this region. It's really tough. So kudos to Quinn and her team to actually really putting this up on this beautiful day. And also kudos to the guy who put up this panel. I could not ask for better panelists to be with me today here this morning, right? But before we get started, I just want our panelists to quickly maybe like go through about your project, what layer 2s that they're developing, and also a bit of introduction of yourselves. Yeah, maybe we can start with you.
GM everyone, my name is Elton. I'm the DevRel for Devil Club, which is the DevRel arm of Polygon Labs. I've been in the space since 2019. I'm a full stack engineer. Love Ethereum ecosystem. But yeah, happy to be here to share more about layer 2s.
Awesome.
GM everyone, my name is Emanuele. I take care of growth at Linea. Linea is a ZK-VM type of rollups, so it's basically a way to scale Ethereum in our opinion, the best and most correct way to scale it. Linea is a rollup is a network basically that has been bootstrapped by Consensus, which is a company that has several products in the crypto infra and the crypto space. I'm very happy to be here with these guys as well, so thanks for moderating, man. As you can see from my hat, I love Vietnam, so super happy even more to be here.
Awesome. Hey guys, Gabriel here. I'm currently leading DeFi growth at Mantle. So Mantle is a Ethereum layer 2 hyperscalable chain where we essentially want to support builders and early stage teams to create like a paradise for Ethereum and DeFi products and like every other vertical as well. We have very close ties to like Bybit Exchange as our main sponsor. We're also one of the largest DAO treasuries in the world, where we are able to support many initiatives and essentially take Ethereum scalability to the next level. And yeah, great to be here, and yeah, great to meet my fellow panelists.
Awesome. Thanks for the introductions. I think most of your projects would not need one, because anybody who's been in crypto would have heard of you guys, but I might need one, right? So basically, been 12 years in crypto, got in really early, maybe a bit too early, right, when altcoins were just getting started. And my entrance to blockchain was very exciting. I think something very similar to what Vitalik was talking about in his panel earlier. I got spooked by AI, right? So I was actually doing research on multi-agent systems. So it's basically a subset of AI where you can, where AI can actually coordinate, collaborate, and communicate with each other and makes decision and basically how to do something. For example, you want to make a movie, you can have a script writing AI, like a designer AI with a director AI, all talking to each other and making a movie together, right? But then there were some problems, right? This AI started to become selfish, right? They started to become complicated and more challenging as we started to go into decentralizing them and trying to innovate more in these models. So this was back in 2017 when I was doing this research, and I was like, hey, can we actually make this thing more trusted? And then I found the answer, nope, maybe the best answer is to make it trustless, right? And that's how I got into blockchain and trying to marry how AI and blockchains will work together, right? And 2017 was the Wild Wild West, right? ICO's days. I set up this company called Blocklime, where selling the shovels and gold rush is the best strategy. I feel I'll last longer and I'll learn more, right? So that's where I decided to go up and form this company, Blocklime, where we do blockchain development, consultancy, trainings, and we work with almost all these chains, all the layer 2s, wherever anybody wants to build stuff, we build stuff, right? So that's my background, that's where I come from, and let's get started with the panel, right? AI and blockchain can be another Eat Vietnam session some other time, but let's talk about scalability and layer 2, right? So what are some of the applications that are made possible by layer 2s, right? That get you excited, right? Something new that is enabled and it's not possible on Ethereum, right? Anybody want to pick that up?
I can. But yeah, I mean, on our side, we are targeting 3 main type of use cases at the moment, which is DeFi, SocialFi, and gaming mostly, as most of the other layer 2s. I mean, we are not targeting any like very exotic type of use cases. In general, I would say that scalability of a network can enhance any other type of use case. For us, it's very important to also recognize the fact that the speculative side of crypto assets is being very much looked by the whole community. So applications like perp trading, derivatives trading, in general, the use of DEXs can be enhanced a lot by more scalability. But at the moment, we are running a program. It's a program focused on gaming. We have a lot of games that people can play, and they're actually pretty enjoyable if you remove the cost part of paying gas. This is the main feedbacks that we are gathering from the community. So on the gaming side and on the use cases that can really onboard all the users that are not in crypto and that today are not used to crypto, removing barriers and cost barriers is the most important thing. So gaming is a big one for us.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I fully agree. I think adding on to that, like especially in bull markets where we have a lot of users and new capital entering the space, Ethereum gas fees unfortunately have become very prohibitive to a lot of retail users. Like for example, to use to make a DEX swap, it's like maybe $50 to $100 worth of Ethereum, just to make a simple swap, right? So I think in general, being able to greatly make the experience more accessible to a lot of these retail users is a huge value add, right? Being able to, if let's say a user does not have access to a centralized exchange, they can use a DEX on one of the ETH layer 2s where right now you can essentially swap for a couple of cents, right? After like the Denkun upgrade. And yeah, I think being able to get access to a lot of these trading avenues, being able to play on-chain games at a very cheap price is definitely like the main like UI UX to make it super accessible to everyone, right? So I think that's like the main thing here.
Yep. If I were to just jump in, I resonate with both Gabriel and Emanuele's views. Like the reason why L2s is so important is because there's a need for scalability. There's a need for like high throughput, low gas fees, and layer 2s have relatively low gas fees when compared to Ethereum, but it may not be low enough, and it may not be low enough for highly computationally intensive applications or use cases like gaming, like what Emanuele said. So since 3 days ago with the Denkun upgrade, like it brought the fees down 10 times lower. So I think Linea has already adopted it. Polygon has not. But very excited to see more use cases being more prevalent with this lower of gas fees, right? Like AI being one of them.
Yeah, well, I was playing a game the other day, one of the games on Linea, and honestly, it was a pretty enjoyable game. And it's not really easy to find them, right? Because most of on-chain games have, I wouldn't say bad UXs, but still to improve, because they are more focused on the technological part, right, rather than the gaming part. So I played this game, super enjoyable, super focused on math, and then, to post the ZK proofs of this game, it was asking me to pay several dollars in fees, which is fine for me, right? I get the point. But, man, I mean, I don't imagine somebody, playing games on their phone, and be like, okay, I'm going to pay $5 because I want a ZK proof of my score, right? Yeah. While it's an incredibly powerful thing, right? If you think about it, you just have to bring down the costs enough to let those users that are not part of Web3 understand the value and make them use it. Because if nobody uses it, you can create the best tech ever, but whatever, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would like to actually jump in on another question later on, but since we're on the topic of Denkun and the upgrades, right? Blobs are finally here, right? We've been hearing about blobs are coming, like every event we go to, and finally they're here. But are any of your L2s planning to actually implement them, right? Or like start implementing?
Yeah, so for Mantle, we have not implemented blobs just yet. We're pretty busy with our Mantle V2 upgrade, which was essentially EIP 1559 and also like OP stack Bedrock upgrade. And I think the unique thing about us is that we've already had pretty low gas fees to begin with, given that from the beginning, we've adopted a separate DA layer, which effectively managed to lower gas fees by a significant amount, right? And I think right now, after like our Mantle V2 upgrade, the next step will definitely be Denkun. And I think right now we are doing like a couple of cents per transaction. I think that's pretty low already. But I think once we've transitioned to including like the blobs on Mantle, then I think that will make things a lot more accessible.
Yeah, I mean, when you change from call data to blobs, of course, I think there's going to be a lot more changes even for EigenDA, right? So even right now, it's going to bring the cost maybe 90% down. I think that's what Vitalik mentioned in one of the posts that I read. So I think the cost saving in implementation is definitely going to be massive moving forward.
Yeah, for us, I mean, we are a roll-up network at ZK-EVM type of roll-up. We strive and try to be, as close as possible to a Type 2 ZK-EVM rollup. And I mean, I don't want to assume that everybody here know how it works. But basically, the simple concept is that there are some things and transactions get executed on our layer 2, so on Linea, and then we post data on Ethereum in order on the L1 in order to use it as the secure layer for posting. And we use cold data to do it. So cold data is just a way to post some arbitrary data. I mean, very, very simply said. And blobs come perfectly for us. It's a perfect solution for us to scale. While 4844 is just one of the EIPs that is going to be implemented with Denkun. For us, is the most important one. This is why we are putting a lot of care in implementing it. Our target date for it is the 27th of March. Actually, we just implemented, like 3 weeks ago, a pretty big upgrade on data compression and proof aggregation, which brought down fees around 70% from where they were before. For us, the most important thing at the moment is the security of what we are building. So blobs are like a sidecar, like it's a motorcycle and then you have the sidecar beside it. So it comes in parallel with everything else. So what we're doing right now is working with top tier security auditors to make sure everything runs smooth. We make sure that the testnet runs smooth. And then on the 26th, the idea is to have basically 24 hours of looking at data. We implement it on the 26th. We take 24 hours to look at data. And on the 27th, the first noticeable results for users should come out. I want to just stress something out. And this is my opinion. We'll see how it will turn out. Right now, we see many infographics of fees going down sharply on layer 2s and so on. I just want to say that right now, it's mainly because blobs are not being used. Like it's still going to be a market, right? Where if there are more, blobs go in an arbitrary number from 0 to 6 per block, basically. So 3 is always a target, but if you have more, fees will increase. So in my opinion, the real noticeable results can only be viewed when blobs are starting to get more used. This is an important thing to state.
Sure. Yeah, I totally agree. I think the reason why we see the fees on L2s have integrated the Denkun upgrade being extremely low is because there isn't as much competition going on right now. I think over the next few months, after most L2s have integrated Denkun, could we really see a more accurate fees for L2? But for Polygon, we are trying to do this thing called the aggregated layer, and Polygon ZK-VM being the one and only chain being integrated in this AGG layer, the POS, soon to be part of this AGG layer. But in terms of when we would integrate the Denkun, it is stipulated to be around end of next month or early May. So by then, we would also see how Polygon could be part of the L2s. But yeah, that's about Polygon.
Yeah, I mean, moving from, I mean, just talking from experience, right? When I first started using Matic, you know, like it was basically maybe $2 to $3 to actually do a transactions, right? Compared to Ethereum, $30 to $40 at that time. Today, Ethereum is like $120 to $150 per transaction, right? Polygon is $20 per transactions, right? Or 25, right? So the gas fees has significantly gone on because like the cost of settling it is also got higher, right? So per transaction, the cost has got much higher. So Dancone is definitely going to provide some relief, but I think in terms of scaling, there's going to be a lot more changes and upgrades needed in the future to actually bring around more effective use of that capital and more effective ways of doing transactions and scaling, right? Yeah, so, but we can go on and on about this. I'm a sucker who would like to go into Worker trees and, you know, like statelessness and all the other stuff, but I'm worried that we're going to lose our audience halfway around, right? Because, and we'll keep this discussion most likely for DEF CON and DEF CONNECT. But today, I mean, just coming back to one of the conversation earlier about gaming, right? It actually got me thought that is gas models the best model for us to go through? Yes, it helps us with DDoS attacks. It helps us to incentivize the people who runs it, but it also is a barrier of entry. A lot of new people from coming in, right? It might help you stabilize the network, but then the Web 2 world is used to not paying for stuff, right? Downloading a free game and playing, right? So is gas model the way to go, or maybe we can look into more gasless options like delegated gases or reverse gas models, right? Is any of you considering things like that, or even considering pushing updates like that, like maybe an ERC onto Ethereum or something, right?
If I were to just jump in, like how on-chain gaming first started, people think like it's so cool, and then like they thought it has to be fully decentralized, but they lack the most important element, which is right in front of them, which is a user experience. And if you don't have the proper user experience, you don't have a good user experience, you kind of lose them at the first start. So that's why you mentioned about gases, transactions. When users don't need to pay anything, they'll be more likely to use it. Just like how Emanuele said, like, oh, you have to pay $3 for something. Maybe yes, but better if don't. So people don't really want to pay. So I think it's a balance between both an experience and security, because when you introduce great user experience, you're in a technical lens also introducing some way of vulnerabilities in the system that hackers or bad actors in the space may take the opportunity to exploit. So I think this is also something to take note of when building gaming applications.
Yeah, just to chime in another point on that as well for you to consider. I mean, between having two games on, like, let's say a game on the Web 2 space, which is free to play, it's fun, right? And a game on the Web 3 space, right? Where you have to pay to play, right? Maybe like every transaction you're paying something, right? So you're paying a small amount, and you need to set up a wallet and the whole tedious process of onboarding, right? But it's just the idea of fun to play. Why would anybody, what makes it fun, right? You already suck out the fun out of it, right? By actually making them onboarding in a much difficult process, right? But at the same time, for example, if let's say you want to incentivize them to play, right? Now it becomes GameFi, right? Now you have to look into a model of incentive models, right? It's no longer about the game, it's about the incentive, right? So you lose the fun of the game element or making the right game in the ecosystem. It's more about the incentive model. So that's where maybe, as we said, like approach of setting up a gas to save the network when we were looking into coins and those altcoins days is, you know, like it works. But today when we're building kind of a supercomputer of applications, it started to become a problem, right? In terms of scaling. So just to give another point, do you guys have anything to put in the discussion?
Yeah, I think ultimately why people want to play a game is because that it's fun, right? And once we introduce incentive models or a financial incentive for people to play the game, you're essentially extracting the fun out of the game. People are just playing it for the financial gain. So I think creating a game that is fun should be like the paramount idea that you want to capture first, right? You don't want to incentivize people to play a game, because then people are just playing it because they want to earn money. And once that money runs dry, then you don't have any more players. Whereas, like, if you look at Web 2 games, people are playing the game because they enjoy playing it. They have friends that they can play with, and they can create memorable experiences from those games. So I think like the cross between gaming and blockchain has to be pretty seamless if you want to onboard like the next generation of users, right? You cannot make a fully on-chain game. There has to be some elements where there is like off-chain and there's like a typical Web 2 game, right? Well, you can include some elements such as like NFTs or some collectibles that users can earn throughout the course of their gaming. But the main point is that they shouldn't be there to just to earn money.
Understood.
I second so much what Gabe has said. In my opinion, it's simple, right? Or fun or incentive. There is no other way around it, right?
No, I mean,
and
true.
incentives run out at a certain point. It's not like DeFi where you can, take in an arbitrary way the emissions, for example, of a protocol and continue incentivize as long as it dries out. With games, it dries out even earlier. So in my opinion, it's one of the two, right? Or fun or incentives, if you're able to sustain them.
True, right? So I mean, here where it comes in, right? So people have to choose between being a fun game and being an incentive-driven game because of the limitations of the technology and like the underlying architecture itself, right? But moving forward, I think there has to be new approaches, right? New models where we actually can build applications, but still there is an incentive for people to provide the compute resources. Right. So in this case, there has been some ERCs in terms of delegated gas proposals and reverse gas models that are being implemented by other protocols and technologies, which are working right now, but they still need time and testing. Right. Moving next, right. So since we are talking about layer 2s and like the whole concept of a pooled security or like an Ethereum shared security model, right? So today it works, right? Today it's sexy. Today it's scaling. Today it's helping, like everybody achieve their goals. But is it a good long-term strategy? Are we building a single point of failure, right? Is it going to be a challenge down the road, or is there something that is already in plans to mitigate this?
Should I? Okay, I'll start. So I guess that which shared security model you mean, like eigenlayer and so on. So Gabe, we have a lot of things to say about this. I want to say something. After all, if you think about it, these shared security models, first of all, I mean, are super cool. Restaking is amazing. We just got Renzo on board, which is one of the few providers of restaking that is available today. So for us, it's a big win. I want to say that it's leverage on top of leverage in some way, any type of restaking that you engage into. So what I'm really focused on at the moment is the risk frameworks that are around it. Attributable security is the most important thing. For us, also native restaking, because what we provide with Renzo, and thanks to Connect, is native restaking. So you provide a collateral basically that you can use all around, right? Data availability, Oracle services, even the centralized sequencers, if you may. But yeah, Gabe, I think here it's really nice also to get your opinion.
Yeah, I think if, like by nature of us running or working in like operating a layer 2 ecosystem, we indirectly or directly are in support of like the shared security models, right, that Ethereum uses. And I think like the bigger question, or how this adds more risk as we move into like more towards like the rise of like eigenlayer coming up, bringing in the concept of restaking, right? Essentially allowing users to restake their ETH to secure protocols or any kind of network within like the ecosystem. Whether that adds more risks on top of what we have already had is still a big question mark, I think, for most of the ecosystem. That we see people building layers upon layers of these stuff, right? Like, so you have like ETH staking, which is like the first layer. Then you have like restaking through eigenlayer. And then you have like liquid restake tokens. Then you keep going down further and further the rabbit hole, right? So whether this brings a lot more compounding risks in the event of like maybe a black swan event that could potentially blow everything up, or we have like a cascading event. I think we can try our best to mitigate it, but it's still pretty much like a question mark in everyone's minds. Everyone's still trying to speculate on top of this.
Attributable security. Attributable security, that's the point.
Yeah, I mean, in this case of collective security, do you want to share something? Yeah.
No, I just want to chime in. I think they said pretty much most of the things. I think we are talking about the economic security when we talk about the shared layer that you're talking. So for those who aren't familiar, I think if you want to perform like a 51% attack, you need like 28 million ETH. There's like maybe as of today, maybe $100 billion, which is a lot of money if you really want to attack. And you also need validator nodes. So everybody wants to utilize Ethereum's huge ass, sorry for the language, but the security layer. And that's why EigenLayer is so attractive, because EigenLayer introduced this concept of restaking that basically restakes whatever has been on the POS system to other various L1 and L2's POS system to leverage on that kind of security. So very excited to see what's next.
Okay, we are actually about end of time already, but just to to conclude at that point. So if there's a black swan event, right? There's a bunch of bad actors that goes up onto the network, and basically something goes wrong, right? So today Ethereum as a platform, right? It would be able to maybe mitigate like some of this risk, right? But when we talk about Ethereum as an ecosystem and Ethereum's collaborative ecosystem, right? So you will have like so many people staking and restaking and restaking and restaking. There might be, so much more risk involved. If you have like some bunch of bad actors that goes in, it can cause an ecosystem, like a wide crisis instead of a platform-wide crisis. So if you look at it from a point of security, there is a potential risk that we have to mitigate. But at this point of view, at this particular time, the technology is still maturing, right? There is a lot more room to grow and secure, right? Is the best step forward, and we're hoping for more updates, more talks, more dialogues, and in terms of building a more safer future ecosystem together, right? So with that, I think we will conclude this panel, and thank you very much to the panelists. Thank you very much to Ethereum, ETH Vietnam to actually have us here today. Any final words?
I love Vietnam. No, just kidding. Thanks to everybody that came here to listen to us. Super important, and thanks for moderating and for my fellow panels.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank all the speakers for your sharing this morning.